We got a lot on our plate, so why don't we convene this month's meeting of the full board. Thank you, everyone, for making it. First out of the gate, I would like to welcome our new commissioners and just say thank you for taking the time and interest in this great public body of work. I know that I geek out on it quite significantly myself, so definitely appreciate the interest as well. If you wouldn't mind, Sarah, just kind of reading off the names of folks that have joined us actually since June. And if you feel comfortable just saying a few words about your interest and background, it would be great to, while we're all doing this remotely, to have a little bit more connection with each other. So Sarah, that would be great. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So of the folks who are here, we have Katie Frederick with Westford. We have Kim Spencer with Charlotte. Liz Volz Hamlin with Colchester, Samantha Hurt, alternate now with Burlington, John Gifford with Milton, and I think those are all the new folks that I see. Did I miss anybody? Nope, I think those are our new folks. So I will go around my screen. And so up first is Katie.
Hi, replacing Michelle Devia, as if anybody could. I used to work at CSWD. I was there for 10 years as the enforcement coordinator. So I know CSWD quite well, and I'm really glad to be back in the trash game again. So that's me.
Thanks, Katie. Next on my screen is Samantha.
Hi, everyone. I have not worked intimately with CSWD. However, I worked more on the policy side of things. So I'm really interested to see how CSWD has been working on those changes. And it's great to see all of you.
Thanks, Samantha. Liz?
Hi, everybody. I'm Liz Hamlin-Voles, and I'm for Colchester, and I'm taking over the spot that Tim Moran had for a number of years. I'm on the Colchester Conservation Commission, and that's how I ended up being here with you right now. So I've been on the commission, I think, for probably 3 years or so at this point.
Great. And Ken?
Hi, I guess I'm here. I was inspired by Abby, who still is here to keep me company. Thank you, Abby. And I've just evolved from sort of out of my nursing career into starting a new business around a product that I created to pick up litter, which I'm trying to share with the world and schools. And so Abby knows me as somebody who picks up a lot of litter, and one thing led to another, and here I am.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Great. Thank you very much. And John, I think you're new as well. John Gifford from Milton. Although, John, we may have heard from you earlier, but if you care to introduce.
Are you looking? This is about my third meeting.
Yeah, I had asked Sarah to just go through names of folks that are newer to the board since June, since our organizational meeting.
Oh,
So we
okay.
have a chance. Yeah.
I'm fine. I'm from Milton. I represent Milton. I'm town treasurer. That's about it.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone, again. It's great to have a lot of new faces joining us, and look forward to eventually meeting you in person. That will be delayed a bit, but at least virtually for the time being. So thank you for taking the time to introduce yourself and let us get to know you better. Sarah, is there any members of the public present?
I am not seeing any members of the public present. John Dorwart, would you please resend the full board meeting invite to Leslie Nolte?
Sure.
Thank you.
All right. And I suppose, John, you can just let us know if there's any folks from the public that sign in or have any comments that they want to have brought to the board.
Yeah.
Thank you. Consent agenda is next. Are there any items that folks would like to have removed for discussion from the consent agenda? Okay. And the process for folks that this may be new to, essentially, if there is anything that we want to talk about that's on here, we remove it for its own agenda item, and then everything else remains, and it doesn't need a vote to be considered approved. So hearing no comment on removing any of those items, Sarah, we can move to the FY19 audit.
Yes, and that, let's see if we've got Nola is here. Okay, Nola, I'm going to ask you to unmute. See, are you able to unmute, Nola?
Can you hear me?
Yes. So Nola, if you could go through what we're asking the board to adopt for as far as the audit and maybe the highlights of the fiscal 19 audit. We're not hearing anything from Nola.
Sorry about that. I was disconnected for just a second. Okay. So really the fiscal 19 audit is accepted. There was nothing that they saw that would have violated the standard accounting rules. There were a few notes that we didn't really agree with. If you go to, I believe it's note 13, which is on page that's notated 25, subsequent events. For some reason, the auditor felt it necessary to include the COVID crisis and the Heinsberg Drop-Off Center contract and completion. Those were well after we had submitted our financial statements. And when I spoke to another set of auditors that we've worked with in the past, they also were unclear as to why they would have included these. But again, overall, this was a good report. And there's nothing that we will have to look into. There are no changes that they're recommending. Overall, they're saying that, you know, we've passed our audit and we're good to go.
Are there any questions from commissioners?
I had a question about the timing of this. It seems we're well past the end of that fiscal year, almost a year and a half past it. Why does it take so long for the audit to get here?
So this is not typical. We did have a bit of a wonky year in fiscal year 19. There was not a steady director of finance, so that was part of the issue. However, as far as I understand, a former director assisted and they were able to get financials out by March, which is a little late in the year, but again, not to the point where we shouldn't have received our audit until September. So we did speak with the auditor. Her reasoning was really that tax season came around and I think it was just sort of pushed to the side. There wasn't really any other explanation other than that. But as soon as I arrived, I started asking where it was and what was happening and if she had all the information that she needed. And she did, but we still didn't receive information until 4 months after I had already been here. So I agree, it is very late. Okay, thank you. That makes sense to me.
This is Alan. I've been on the board for a couple of years and we've never, this is, a one-time incident. I think we've gone through 3 financial officers in a period of time here that involved the time with the audit and just before. So I don't expect that we'll see it again, as long as we keep NOLA around for a while longer.
Agreed. And the other factor was we had switched our accounting software systems, and that did lend a little bit more of a level of difficulty, but agreed, it should not have taken this long. So and definitely an anomaly.
Additional thoughts, comments, questions? Sarah,
What
go
is
ahead. Oh.
what is the schedule for the fiscal year 2020 audit?
Mm-hmm.
So we've already signed an engagement letter and the auditor should be able to start the audit in January. And they've said that it should take no more than 30 days. So we should have an audit in February.
Okay, great.
Oh, you beat me to it. I was going to say, Sarah, can you walk us through next steps?
Yep. Perfect. Yep. So that is, and we do not anticipate it.
Can I say one more thing then?
Yes.
It makes total sense then that the subsequent events would be included in this audit if it was that late. Because they're supposed to be able to say, an audit is supposed to be able to say, this is where we would be if the world ended on June 30th of that year. But since we know something later, they need to include it. So that makes sense.
All right, so I'm not hearing further comments or questions at this point. Sarah, is there official language for approval?
There, Paul, you may want to help me out with this one too. Again, I don't believe we have official acceptance language, but I would recommend that we do. So just to make it that the board acknowledges receipt of the audit and its findings. So I would request a motion along those lines.
So moved.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone object? Anyone abstain? All right, Sarah, we can move to the next item. Looks like it's the memorandum of understanding.
Yes. So you have before you the memorandum of understanding between CSWD and the city of Burlington regarding the Flynn Avenue property. And this is the year 2 option of this MOU. And nothing changed regarding the language of the original MOU. So it is exactly as it was approved last year. And the board heard from the city last month where they gave their presentation regarding their progress towards the Champlain Parkway project. And I did receive communication from Chapin Spencer saying that yes, it is the city's intent to want to execute the second year of the MOU. So it is my recommendation to the board that you do so.
All right, and we did review this at the last meeting. So again, that was just for discussion and we can't discuss and vote within the same meeting. So this is coming up again for voting. Is there any further discussion or questions on this for Sarah? Okay, hearing none. I do see official language here. So I'm happy to read it. Be it resolved that the Board of Commissioners authorizes the Executive Director to execute the second year option of the second memorandum of understanding with the City of Burlington regarding the district's property at 195 to 201 Flynn Avenue, Burlington.
I'll move that.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone abstain? Anyone object? All right, motion passes.
Thank you.
Great, we are cruising. Sarah, next item is the ODF site improvements.
Yes. Yep. So I would like to turn that over to Josh Tyler and Dan Goosen to walk through the memo and the project.
How's everybody doing? Can everybody hear me?
Yes, can hear Josh.
All right, let me bring the memo up on my end.
Bryn, would you like me to share the memo? Share my screen?
It might be easier if you shared it.
Josh has been having some difficulty.
You know where I was going.
Please, that would be great.
Okay, I will share. Is everyone seeing the memo? Seeing a nod?
I will jump in, and Dan's with me as well. So back in February, we had brought to the board a presentation indicating that we were moving through some kind of development of kind of a future economic plan for the ODF facility. And that had been kind of a long time coming. We've been working with multiple consultants over the years. It's been about 4 years of study and implementation. And up until February, when we gave the presentation, we had instituted a couple operational changes. We, had sold up to 12 products. We cut that down to 3. We stopped bagging material. We stopped selling retail materials. So we really kind of shored up everything we could do on the operational end of things. And we saw some dividends this spring, which also helped that we had an exceptional sales year this spring. So the next phase that we brought to you in February was to really spend capital at that point. We actually had to spend money. And so we had indicated that we needed to expand out both a windrow area and a sales pad area to meet our future goals and needs, and to really build a robust and sustainable economic model for the facility. Part of that was also purchasing a windrow turner, which was approved last year about this time. So what we're bringing back to you now is the actual capital investment for the construction piece of it. What we had indicated in February was, the engineer's estimate was about $818,000 for the full build out of the construction project. We went out to bid. We told the board we'd come back with some numbers when we actually had them. We went out to bid earlier or late September. We had a lot of interest, which was great. A lot of the large construction companies in the area came out and took a good hard look. So it was a very competitive bidding process. SD Ireland came in the lowest at $545,000 and change, which is great. They are very respectable, and we've worked with them in the past. And so really what we're doing is showing you the bidding process, kind of what our estimates are on the cost. I think, Sarah, if you bounce down to the next page, and really what we're kind of bringing together was, we had indicated in February, $818,000. Here's our estimate at this point. We actually are going to come in under budget based on these estimates right now. And so the total project includes that bid amount for SD Ireland. We need to purchase the sand from Heinsberg Sand and Gravel that we will be constructing the site on. And that's a kind of a twofold benefit to us. One is it's sand in place, so we don't have to truck it in. We're getting it for less money than it would cost to bring it in, because we're not paying the trucking. And also part of our eminent domain settlement when we moved into the sand pit was that we agreed to allow Heinsberg Sand and Gravel access to the Redmond sand that's there. So what we're really doing is, because we're building out this 7 acres, we'll be locking up that sand and actually using it. And so we're just going to purchase it in place and use it as needed. So that's what that $129,500 is. And it's roughly 18,500 yards of sand. So it's a significant chunk. We are going to bring 3-phase power down to our sales pit. And that is a benefit to us because we are going to run our screener there. So we will have a consistent power source that's more efficient. And we won't have to run it off of a diesel generator. The diesel generator gives us a lot of issues in the winter. And moving forward, when we go to replace the screener, we can now purchase an electric screener, which is not considerably less money, but it's a savings. So we're pretty excited about that. Green Mountain Power has done a great job giving us estimates, and we're going to be working with Pratt & Smith Electrical on that. So all that said, we factored in a contingency of $70,000 because it is a pretty large project, just to make sure we didn't have to come back to the board. And the total price of the project has come in around $796,000. Now, one of the things I want to point out is that we were also approved for an A&R grant of $500,000. That approval was last summer. We put that money towards the purchase of our windrow turner. We're also going to put that money towards this construction project. Based on the 60-40 split, and because we're under budget, we actually still have money on the table as part of that grant. And A&R has agreed to allow us to put that towards the rolling stock specific to this project. So again, that's another savings we'll see in purchasing of rolling stock. So along with building out our windrow pad and our sales area, we want to purchase a large haul truck to bring material back and forth from our primary composting phase 1, phase 2 area to our windrowing pad. And so this allows us to save some money on the purchase. We'll save to share the cost of purchasing this truck with A&R. And if there's any left over, we'll also put that towards a stacking conveyor as well. So it's a pretty exciting project. Our permits are pretty much in place as of now. I'm looking to have a pre-construction meeting with SD Ireland, hopefully next week upon approval at this board meeting.
Again, Josh, just to reiterate, this project is in the capital budget for this year.
Yes,
So this is a
correct.
budgeted item.
Yes, it is.
All right, we'll start off with questions from commissioners. Go ahead, Paul.
Yeah, how long, once they start, how long do you anticipate it taking?
If we can start early November, the current schedule is probably mid-December will be complete with the construction project. If we can kind of in parallel also purchase potentially the haul truck, it would be nice to kind of get the whole project completed and have the equipment necessary to really meet our efficiencies all before the end of the year. We'll see how everything, plays out, but we're pretty excited. The good thing is we're moving sand and rock around. There's not any real concrete work. There's no asphalt work. So we can work into the uglier part of, late fall, early winter with this project.
And the other question I had was, can you please remind me how long HSMG has to extract the sand?
Roughly 19 more years.
Okay.
Other questions?
How often do they haul the sand out of there?
They have a loader on site. We see a truck a day, maybe 2-3 trucks coming in. It's the same truck. It just kind of comes in. The guy hops out, loads it, and comes back. Some days are busier than others. I mean, Dan might have a better idea than I do, but it's not super active, but it is active.
It's highly variable. Most of the fair weather parts of the year, they're in there at least probably 3 truckloads a day, but it can be as much as, I would say, 8 or 10 on a busier day, and probably a little bit more on occasion.
And they'll be using the new road that's going to go out back to where the trommel is and all that right now?
Right. Yeah, we currently share that third entrance to our facility, and so there's probably about 400 feet of shared road or driveway that they'll be utilizing to get to their sand, and that's going to continue. We're relocating it slightly to make way for the stone pads, but that's going to be more or less the same way they're doing it now.
You think they'll increase use of the pit with better access to it?
Beyond that shared road is where things usually historically have gotten very muddy when it's wet, and they don't need to. Their whole approach has been very well maintained with stone, given that they produce stone. They do a very good job at maintaining all their access. So I don't foresee them. They'll have the same level of access that they've always had. So it probably won't make much of a difference.
Okay. So they probably just use that pit for local deliveries around here rather than trucking it from Heinsberg, or
they actually bring it all back to Heinsberg for processing. They wash it and grade it in Heinsberg, and then they bring it back to Williston or where else. Yeah.
Thank you.
I want to note too that Tim Casey has been very accommodating and very good to work with on this project, and really can't say enough about his cooperation and just again willingness to share information and to work with us, and being a really good partner. So I just want to acknowledge that.
For sure.
Other questions? Josh or Dan, can you again just remind me of the timeline? And were you expecting the expansion to be done by the end of next year?
End of this calendar year.
Oh.
So hopefully by the end of, if everything goes smooth, mid-December we'll be in great shape. And that'll also, one of the key factors is that we have a product loading area that's in the active operational area of compost. So we're going to move that out, which will then free up some more room in that area to, one, decrease congestion during leaf season when everybody's flying in and out. So it's a pretty exciting project that's going to open some room for us to get creative.
And that is part of the another part of the benefit too, is just increasing the safety of the active working phase 1 and phase 2 area of compost. So by moving the sales material area out, it just reroutes all of that traffic and just makes for a safer working environment in phase 1 and phase 2.
Great. I was curious, so the additional grant funding that's available, do you anticipate getting an RFP for that equipment, by the end of the year as well?
That's the plan. The larger haul truck, we put in our capital budget $120,000, and that was for a triaxle dump truck. But in a reassessment, the beauty of a triaxle dump truck is that it can go on the road, so it can haul a large amount for a long distance efficiently. We don't have a long distance to go, so we were actually looking at a mining rock truck. They are a little more expensive, but our needs are a little different. So we're shifting to see what we can get. We won't probably get a new one, but we'll get one that's in good shape. So we're looking at that right now. I would like to have that truck in place. We'll bring it back to you. I mean, it's going to be over $100,000 purchase. So you guys will definitely see what we wind up thinking of, or what we wind up with moving forward. My goal is to get something to you by December, but don't hold me to that. We'll see where we wind up.
Okay, great. Any other comments or questions?
They're thinking about a haul unit.
Yeah, one of the articulated ones, just because right now we're moving material with a 7-yard bucket and a loader, which isn't fuel efficient. Also, we start out with about 7 yards and end up with about 6 3/4. So if we can get a haul truck that moves 25 to 35 yards at a time, that's some exceptional efficiencies we'll see.
Makes sense.
And when we've verified with A&R that the use of the existing grant is still consistent with the additional equipment that we're looking to purchase.
Right, appreciate that. I was thinking that question.
Yep.
And the grant funding, we got an extension on that agreement earlier in the year when COVID delayed everything. And so we have, I think until May anyway, to finalize all that reimbursement in the event that we can't get it all done in December.
All right, you're hitting all of my top questions. I was curious about the encumbered timeline for the fund, so I appreciate that extra detail and to know what kind of leeway we have. Great.
I have a quick question.
Go ahead.
What's the likelihood of getting a truck, a truck like that isn't beat to death?
Pretty good. Dan's been doing some research, and I've been doing some research, and we have our maintenance lead doing some research. And the reason we're expecting it to be more than the 120,000 is really a truck that's worth anything that's used. It starts around $190,000 to $200,000. We've been in contact with Cat and John Deere, who both supply large haul trucks and have a network throughout the country of potential used pieces of equipment. We probably wouldn't be able to pull one from New England at this point. It's, we've identified a couple in Toronto and a couple in Florida. So that's going to play into the timeline of when we can receive it and how much it's going to cost. So, but we're hitting the ground as hard as we can to see what's out there.
And regarding our purchasing of any used equipment, we do extra diligence on that. And we look to, if there's any possibility for extended warranties on used equipment, et cetera, we make sure that we look into that, just given that we don't always know what we don't know. So there is a risk with used equipment. But again, in the interest of saving some money here on a more of a specialty piece, we do want to make sure we're looking at the used properties as well.
I don't want to be, what do they call it? Pound wise and penny foolish, but good.
Understood. We'll make sure we do our due diligence.
Mm-hmm.
Great. Thank you very much.
Historically, also, we've brought in, if we've had the opportunity, we bring the rep who's looking to sell it to us with us to go look at it, or one of our people who would actually be doing the maintenance on it. We bring them as well. So if we have the opportunity now, the current state we live in, we might not have that opportunity, but we'll be very cautious and diligent.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, any further comments or questions? Hearing none. Sarah, do you want to read the resolution?
Yes, thank you. Be it resolved that the Board of Commissioners authorizes the Executive Director to enter into contractual agreements with SD Ireland Brothers Corporation, South Burlington, Vermont, in the amount of $545,601 as reflected in their response to RFB number 20200922. Heinsberg Sand and Gravel, Heinsberg, Vermont, in the amount of $129,500 pursuant to the Sand Purchase and Cooperation Agreement, both for the purpose of site expansion at the Organics Diversion Facility. Be it further resolved that the Board of Commissioners authorizes a contingency amount of $70,000 for a total project price not to exceed $796,183.
Moved. South Burlington.
Seconded Essex.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Motion passes.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, so at this point, the next item on the agenda is executive session. And just some reminders for new folks that the executive session, Amy will typically read the reason needed for the executive session, and then a motion will be made on that. And anything in the executive session is considered confidential. And I believe Sarah has details in the Board of Commissioners packets about confidentiality, conflict of interest, et cetera. So just as points of reference for folks that are joining us for the first time, and reminders for folks that have maybe been here a while. So always good to brush up on those. So Amy or Sarah, do you want to read the motion?
Sure, I'll read it. I move that the Board of Commissioners of the Chittenden Solid Waste District go into executive session to discuss personnel matters where premature general public knowledge would clearly place the district, its member municipalities, and other public bodies or persons involved at a substantial disadvantage, and to permit the Executive Director and Director of Administration to be present for this session.
So moved.
Second.
Seconded.
Can we just clarify, we're supposed to leave this meeting, right? And then go to the other meeting in the separate email that Sarah sent out, right?
That's correct. So I sent a separate Zoom invite that says executive session in hopefully very bold letters. You will need to join that meeting as a separate meeting for the executive session, but you'll first need to close out, physically leave this meeting, but you'll want to be able to come back to this meeting when the executive session closes. So keep this link handy and then come back to it when we close executive session.
Don't leave yet.
They're gone. I'll repeat it in executive session.
We didn't vote to leave.
I thought you did.
We moved. The motion was seconded, but we didn't vote.
Okay.
Do we still have a quorum?
We have, wait, did Lee?
We do.
Okay.
Because
So
Samantha's on with Alan. Yes.
okay. So thanks for everybody for staying with us. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Anyone abstain? Okay.
Okay, now go.
Thank you. Now go.
Thanks. Looks like we have just about everybody back. Let's see. Amy, do you see that we're missing anyone? Oh, there's Alan. There we go. Oh, there's Paul. Okay. Bryn, we do have a quorum.
All right. I would request a motion to exit the executive session.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone oppose? Anyone abstain? Okay, we are now out of executive session. At this point, we will request a motion to approve the executive director's contract. I'm curious, Alan, if you want to provide any specific language.
I don't think I need to. I think we just move that we approve the executive director's contract with the identified changes and renumbering as discussed.
Second.
So just another addition, just renumbering, number sequencing, grammatical errors, and then an addition of in no way for section 2B in front of subsection A. So just to be clear on that. Okay. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone oppose? Anyone abstain? All right, the motion passes.
Thank you very much. I'm very appreciative. Thank you,
Thank you
everyone.
for committing to another 5 years with us.
Likewise.
And Bryn, I just want to say, we had to keep it small because of, the problems with the open meeting law and everything else. But it was a pleasure to work with Lee and Sarah on this contract. It was a very cordial and productive, meetings.
Thank you.
Yes,
Likewise.
thank you both for your time to do the contract negotiations as well. So I know that was a little bit of additional time commitment for both of you. So many thanks.
Thank you both.
Is there any other business the commissioners would like to raise? Sarah, any other business at this point?
Bryn, I think we had mentioned that we wanted, did you want to talk about the finance committee meeting? We had talked about that at the executive board. I don't know if you want to mention that we would be having a finance committee meeting next week.
Yes, thank you. So due to everybody's capacity being super limited, emailing was proving to be a little bit of a challenge for scheduling the next finance committee meeting. So we have heard that at least Tim and Leslie and I, as an ex officio, can make it to the finance committee meeting on November 5th. Paul, can you make that as well?
I'm sure I can. What time?
We had not landed on a time, so that is open for discussion.
I propose 5 o'clock, but I don't get to vote on that.
No problem.
That's all right. Yeah.
5 o'clock?
Paul, that works for you?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Yeah, I was thinking about, we got the date, but we didn't get a time.
Minor detail.
Oh, the details. Thank you as well. And everybody else, if there's no further.
St. Paul, Staper, we have a hand?
Yeah, I do have a question. Just any progress on setting up first meeting for the committee to talk with, regarding the, the food depackaging and all that?
Yes, so it looks like Wednesday is the most commonly available day of the week. So it would be deciding if we can meet first thing in the morning or later in the afternoon. So I think there had been a preference for earlier in the morning, but that does kind of run into some work hours, both for Paul and for Bryn and myself. For me, it doesn't matter because this is part of my work. But I want to acknowledge that there was some, possibly some conflict of time. It was not early. And when I say early, I'm like talking 8 o'clock or something. So that was the only thing left to decide, frankly, was which Wednesday, and we can start next Wednesday if that works. But really, it's the time.
Probably not. Next Wednesday morning might be a little rough.
I mean, we might need a distraction. So, I mean,
there's that.
You'll be communicating with us further to firm up the dates and times. Right?
Yeah, so it looks like Wednesdays is a good day for the committee members. There's Paul, and Bert and Bryn as far as on that committee. So just think about it and get back to me what your preference is for times, and then we'll send that out as soon as possible.
Cool.
Thank you, Paul.
Samantha, did I see that you had your hand up? No, okay. Sarah, as far as time, I support you just picking a time.
Okay. That'd be good.
It makes it a little easier than back and forth.
Okay, can do.
I would love to entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Take care, be safe, be well.
Thanks,
See you next
everyone.
month.
Thank you.
Good week.
Have a good night.